employers or not? Let's ask Suemeya Hanif, who's an executive at ENS Africa in the employment department of that large law firm. Suemeya, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, John, and thanks for having me on the show.
Is there anything in the Basic Conditions of Employment Act or any one of the other acts that governs employment which speaks to this directly?
Well, not specifically in the Labour Relations Act or Basic Conditions of Employment Act, but in terms of your contract of employment, you would often have clauses which refer to a number of policies, including the social media policy that you mentioned now and IT usage policies. In terms of those clauses, employees are required not to, make any public comments or statements about the employer company or any of the employees without the consent of the employer company. And if, by agreeing to the terms of this contract of employment and abiding the policies, then a breach of this could result in the company taking disciplinary action against an employee.
And that disciplinary action could include at first infraction and dismissal? Or generally, would there need to be a second, third, and written warnings and second written warnings before dismissal would become an option that the disciplinary committee could go for?
It would depend on the seriousness of the offence and also what the disciplinary code and procedure provides for. When I talk about seriousness, I mean, if these claims are unsubstantiated, then obviously the result could be severe, meaning dismissal.
Okay. Is it something that you're aware of happening quite a lot? Is it something that you're aware employees have challenged disciplinary action against them for this infraction?
Yes, it does happen. I mean, the prevalence of social media right now is quite great. I mean, people take to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, posting all sorts of things. And sometimes, the employees, for example, think they're immune somehow, and that's not the case. So we do have, this happening often. We do have disciplinary action being taken against employees and them challenging it. And, that is why employers often have a process in place for employees to make disclosures in order for it to be regarded as protected. And that's in accordance with the Protected Disclosures Act, what is commonly referred to as a whistleblowing policy or procedure.
Yeah, but I mean, just generally, if I were on Twitter or on Facebook, neither of which have the benefit of my presence, and I were to say ugly things about the management of Prime Media Broadcasting, and if they were to take action against me, what might be a defence? Or is there no defence? I mean, if there is a company code of conduct and part of that company code of, your employment contract says don't criticize the company in public, and I do criticize the company in public, what are my potential defences against a guilty finding?
Well, it's quite a difficult case for you to overcome. There are a number of hurdles in order for you to prove that you were you were justified in making that disclosure to the media. You have to believe that the information that you have is substantially true. You have to believe that you have to prove basically that if you had brought this to the attention of the employer, they would not have attended to it, or they would have destroyed the information that you provided to them. And there were no other avenues for you to follow or people to approach to make this disclosure. So you would see there's a number of requirements that you have to satisfy before, you can justify approaching the media to make what we call a disclosure.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference between, in my head, there's a difference between making a disclosure. I'm aware of, this is not the case. I'm not aware of anything, and I don't believe that this company is guilty of any breaches of the rules governing broadcast companies. But if I were aware of such a thing, I mean, that's a disclosure. And I go to the Daily Maverick and I say, do you know what the management media broadcasting is doing X, Y, Z? That for me is different from me just being peed off with the management because whatever, salary or working conditions, and unload on Facebook about that. Those are different things, are they not? Or are they regarded as the same in terms of the code of conduct and employment contracts?
Yeah, so ultimately, in terms of the Protected Disclosures Act, again, if you are aware of certain irregularities or corrupt allegations in relation to one of the employees, then you would approach, the tip-off line, make a report to via the whistleblowing policy. If you don't come right there, then you can approach sort of the public maybe the legal counsel. The public protectors an option. Media is not one of those listed in terms of the Protected Disclosures Act, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Suemeya Hanif is executive at ENS Africa in the Employment Department. An email just in from Chris says, I read all Jeremy's Facebook posts and I always thought, shoo, Jeremy is skating here. It was always clear what he was implying in his posts. I was hoping he would just shut up. But Jeremy is Jeremy, and he just continued to push it for months and months. It is terrible that he has been fired. It is disastrous, but hell, it was not wise of him. Some more WhatsApps on various issues. How are the vaccine centres going to cope with a possible bottleneck situation when 50-year-olds come online for their jabs, supposedly on the 1st of July? Well, my understanding is not that they are going to come online for their jabs, that they are going to be allowed to register. And then they will be sent appointment SMSs when that bottleneck is out of the system. We are with Discovery and have registered, but still not heard a word from them as to when we will receive our vaccines. Joan, you and, 375,000 other people, not all of those are registered with Discovery, but being registered with Discovery essentially doesn't mean anything, really. So, there are 350, 380, 400,000 people who are, like you, Joan, are waiting for their appointment SMSs. John, I was a walk-in at Lentgeer Hospital yesterday, over 60, registered, no SMS, went in and straight to a healthcare worker and was jabbed within 3 minutes, left 15 minutes